Hello everybody to lesson 30 of HTML Deep Understanding course. In this lesson we will know what do we mean with XHTML or HTML. First of all, XHTML stands for what? It stands for Extensible Hypertext Markup Language, okay? And HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, okay? So we have the XHTML is Extendable Hypertext Markup Language. The second is almost HTML is identical to HTML. So it's also in the spelling, also in the content. It's the same. It's only extended from HTML. XHTML is stricter than HTML, more sensitive. XHTML is more sensitive. If there is a small problem, the whole page will not work. But HTML, even if you forgot, for example, to close some tags, or you have some problems with HTML, the page will work perfectly without any errors. But XHTML, the page will not work. XHTML also supports by all major browsers. So why should we use XHTML? We have known that it's sensitive and it has, if there is a small error, it will not work. So why we should use it? There is many pages on the internet contains bad HTML, which means HTML would not well formed. For example, capitalizing or not closing the tags or forgetting some closing tags. This could be a bad HTML, but HTML could reduce doing that. So if there is a bad HTML, it will show errors and it will not work until you correct that errors. This HTML code works fine in most browsers, but XHTML correct the way. For example, you have a lot of browsers in the networks. If someone opened your website with an HTML with his phone, for example, or her phone, and he faced some problems, with codes and the browser does not match the code that you have written, which you forgot. For example, a little thing that works in your browser but in their browsers it doesn't work. So XHTML adjusts all these codes to work with all browsers. So any error you have the XHTML will help you to reduce that error to happen. So let's say what do we have in XHTML. The XHTML, let's go to code and see what we have. The code will be like that, the same. There's no different, for example. So first of all, we have something called the doc type in XHTML is mandatory. If we, for example, deleted that one and save it and go to the, for example, I'll write here for some tags. With HTML, it will work perfectly. For example, we write H2. This is HTML code. Okay, save it and let's go and duplicate the file that we have. Okay, it works perfectly even if we have deleted the doc type at the top. Let's write it again. Doc type, and we have here HTML. Close it. So I understand that the doc type is mandatory. If there is no doc type, it will not work. The second point is XML attributes in HTML is mandatory. Okay, so to write the XML here, so right here we will write, if we use, for example, an XHTML, we write here XHTML or XMLness, like that. It's mandatory. If you haven't written that, it will not work perfectly. Also, the HTML, the head, the title and body are mandatory. So if you have deleted those in HTML, it will work perfectly, no problem. Next, refresh, no problem. But in XHTML, if you forgot to close the HTML or the body, or even to mention them, okay, it will not work. For example, I have deleted the heat in HTML. It will work perfectly, no problem. But in XHTML, as we have seen, the website will not work at all until you complete all these things, which is the heat, the HTML, the body, and the title. They are most important things. Also, the elements in XHTML must be property nested. For example, I have written here h2. This is h2, for example, and I have written here, let's say another thing. We have here paragraph, okay, closing paragraph. I will write here hello yo, and yo I will write it with strong. Okay, strong, and close it. Take the strong, it should be here, we should put string here. So the normal thing is hello, then a tag, then the closing of the tag. But imagine I have written like that, I have put in the tag outside, okay, it will work perfectly. You will be strong, look, you is stronger than hello, so it works perfectly. Or for example, I will change it, for example, h1. See, when I refresh, it will work perfectly, no problem. Look, it works. But in XHTML, it should be nested. That thing will not work in XHTML. It should be like that. It should be strong, for example, and then the word, and then the closing. So we have the first tag, which is p, paragraph, and then we have, for example, strong. It should be button in the same place that it should be in. What do I mean? So it should be, for example, here. It shouldn't be at the end. It will not work if it's in the end, and my editor shows error. So it should work here. With XHTML, it will work here, Peter. But if I entered the if I put in that closing tag outside the p, it will work in HTML. But in XHTML, it will not. So it should be nested in XHTML. The second thing, all letters should be lowercase. All things should be lowercase. For example, here I written here, for example, the D, I write it capital D Y, no problem. But in XHTML, it should be all elements in lowercase or uppercase. They should choose one way. Every element should be closed. For example, here, if I didn't close the paragraph, it will work in HTML, but in XHTML it doesn't work. Works perfectly. Also, we should have also what, the quoted. For example, we have here an attribute. The attribute should be quoted. For example, I write here the width equal 100, for example 550%. Okay, like that. In HTML it works like that, great. But in XHTML you should write it like quoted. You should write the quotations. Another point is the abbreviation doesn't work. Okay, so the minimization is not working. For example, if I want this h2 to be disabled, okay, or read only, to make it read only, you could just type that one. It doesn't work for h2. It works, for example, for form input, type text, for example, and I write here disabled. The abbreviation in HTML works perfect, but in XHTML you should write equal disabled. In XHTML the abbreviation does not work, or the minimization. The minimization doesn't work in XHTML. You should write it like that with quotations. Great. Okay, so what are the things that we need to make it, if we need to create or to change our website from HTML to XHTML? What should we do? First of all, add an XHTML. This is the summary. For example, write the HTML, doc type HTML, Also add XMLness in the HTML tag. Then you should change all elements in your website or on your page to lowercase. Then close all empty elements. For example, we have here a brick line or horizontal line. Okay, it's not closed now. We have talked about the empty tags in a specific lesson, in a single lesson. So here we haven't closed that. How to close it? One forward slash. Now it's closed. So close all your empty tags and also close all your tags that you haven't closed. Also change all attribute names to lowercase. For example, if you have here, this is like HR. Okay, in HTML it knows that it's a horizontal line, but in XHTML it should be lowercase like that. Quote all attribute as we have talked, and don't minimize any attribute you have. So that was the lesson for today. I hope it was easy. It was easy, and I hope it's there's no difficulties in that. If there's any difficulty, you could talk in comments and they will answer. And I hope it was easy. So see you in the next lesson, and bye.